What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Next Success. I am Adam Bastion.
I'm Skylar Beindorp.
And today we have no plan, but we're just going to wing it and figure out and see where it goes.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, man.
Yeah, let's just chat.
You said you had something you wanted to share?
Yeah, yesterday during church, during worship, I swear my brain just goes in random directions and just thinks about random things. But I'll have just like inspirational things come to me. And this is what came to my mind. I was thinking about how when we're born, I'll just read it.
Just read it.
So there's like two parts to it. So when we are born, we have a clean slate. We are only born with two fears, the fear of falling and loud noises. All other fears are learned. If we aren't taking action on something we desire, it's because of something in our past that programmed us to be cautious or afraid of doing that thing we want to do. So the way we move past that is to find where that program came from and realize that you have a child running your life. Most of our programs are written by the age of 7. So rewrite your brain and write a new program/story of what will happen when you move forward. Look at what you really want and why you want it, and go deep, like 7 layers deep into that, and let that move you forward. So that was one part. So we can talk about that for a second if you want. Kind of wild, right?
Oh, it is wild. It's like we're only born with two fears, loud noises and falling.
Mm-hmm. Everything else is learned.
That's true.
When you're born, it's a clean slate.
You ever like, I don't know, that's kind of a weird thought.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because people are afraid to ask the girl out or to start the business or to just walk up and simply say hi to someone, like to be the first one to be like, hey, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, oh, they're kind of afraid of what could happen. And those are all learned fears. Like if you think of a child, they don't have any fear. They just walk up to strangers like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, they're kind of fearless. Or like was it Baby's Luck or something like that?
Baby's Luck?
You ever heard that? I think I was watching a movie years ago, and this baby like is walking like through the middle of the road, and no one can see it because it's just the baby crawling, and everyone's freaking out, like the people who are watching, supposed to babysit him, but the baby is dodging all the cars and has no idea what's going on, but it's just like wants to get to the other side of the road, so it just starts walking, and then it gets to the other side and doesn't get hit by any cars. It's like baby's luck,
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I don't know, maybe it just like wasn't fearless, didn't care. It was just like going for it.
Almost like have you heard the saying, like what you focus on grows, or what you focus on, that's like where you end up? Like if you're focusing on like, oh, I hope I don't, like if you're shooting a basketball, like I hope I don't miss, you're focusing on missing instead of I hope I make it. Or like I heard a lot of like mountain bikers, when they're going down the trail, they're like, if they focus on the rock they don't want to hit, they always hit it because that's what they're focusing on. But if you focus on like where you actually want to go and what you want to happen, and don't worry about the fear of it, you'll have a lot more success. So kind of like the baby, they just cross the street, they're like, I'll be fine. They go, no fear, and they're like, they made it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of it has to do with what we focus on.
Yeah. So would you say fears come from trauma? Or
fears come from...
What would you say, where do they come from?
That's a great question. Well, so like...
Because if we're not born with them, fears come when we recognize something hurts.
Yeah.
Right? Like primarily that's what we're scared of, right? Something that stinks.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for instance, I saw a skunk last night, and I was kind of scared because I didn't want to get sprayed. But because I knew like it would stink. And and they're kind of scary. But anyway... I stood my ground. But
yeah.
Like, do you think they come from bad experiences? Like all fears?
I think a lot of them do. Yeah. Because if like top fears in the world, like some like
Heights.
Let's see. Let's even Google that, because I know one of them is public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
That's like people's number one fear is public speaking. It's afraid of judgment. Like, what if they mess up?
We're judged. Every single time we open our mouths, people judge us.
Yeah. So, like, let's see. What are the top 5 fears of humans? fear of heights, fear of flying, fear of dogs, fear of thunder and lightning. So that thunder and lightning, that has to do with like the loud noises. Um,
The dark.
fear of injection needles. Hold on, this is a weird list. um,
That's just like the way they say it. You fear to be injected by a needle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what the heck? Yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna go off Google's list. I know that their fear of rejection is a huge one, and then like public speaking, and I don't know, but yeah, I think a lot of fears come from bad experiences. So like, if somebody is afraid of swimming, that probably didn't just happen. Like maybe they went and tried swimming once and like weren't able to keep their head above water and like had a little panic attack. Like it only takes like 10 seconds to create this massive fear that will stop somebody from moving forward again and trying that activity a second time. Like I know a lot of people tell me that they've tried snowboarding once or skiing once and they said, yeah, it didn't go great, so I'm probably not going to try it again. Didn't love it. It's like, well, you got to go like 4 or 5 times to actually start to get the hang of it. And it takes like another 5 to actually get good enough where you're going down just like the basic runs. And it probably takes like double that every time till you're getting like more and more advanced.
But you wouldn't say they're scared of snowboarding. They're just
Some are that get hurt when they get hurt.
oh
they're
yeah,
like,
that's true. I've
don't
never
want to.
gone, so I don't know.
Or they're embarrassed
Embarrassment.
embarrassed that they didn't get it the first time or that they're not just good at it like the people that have been doing it for like years.
Hmm.
But yeah, dude, fears, those are what like hold us small. So I was doing one of my friends, he gave me a free coaching call. And so he was coaching me on just goals in life and like what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. So we were talking, and he asked me the question, how committed are you to your personal growth? And I was like, well, I want to say 10. And I know there's certain things that I've been told to do that I haven't done. So just based on my results or based on my actions, I know I'm not a 10. If I was a 10, I would have just done everything and not cared. So I'm probably an 8. And he was asking me why is it an 8, not a 10? I was like, well, like one of my challenges was to take a video about who I am, what I do, and post it on social media. And he's like, hey, why aren't you wanting to do that? I was like, well, I'm not sure if what I'm going to say or like if it's going to be right or what if I like do it wrong. And he's like, okay, where does that come from? Is there something like in your past, like when you're a kid, that like gives you that fear of not doing something the correct way? And immediately what came to mind was this time when I was mowing the lawn and I missed a little section, and my dad was like super mad about it. He was like, you need to go out and finish it. And I think I was like 15. Yeah, 14 or 15. And I'd already showered. I was like getting ready to do other things with my day. And it was just this little section that's really not noticeable. And I think it was like doing the weed whacker around the edge of like the playset or something.
Mm-hmm.
And in that conversation, like it got very intense about just not finishing because I didn't want to go out and do it. I had already showered, I don't want to go out for 5 minutes and do it. I was like, I'll do it tomorrow morning or something. And it was just crazy intense. And it was kind of in that moment I was like, I don't like my dad. I like told him like, I'm not your friend. I don't like I hate this. This is the worst.
I hate you.
I hate you. No, really, that was like the moment I was like, I decided like I hate my dad. Like I just knew it just was not a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
He's like a lot better now. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But like totally forgive him for all that. But anyways, that's what came up when he asked me that question, and I realized that it was a moment like that made me fear of not doing something perfect or missing something or kind of like created that perfectionism a little bit.
You have a fear of doing it wrong.
Yeah,
because I'm messing up.
Because I'm afraid of what could happen or what people will say.
So you're not afraid of doing it wrong. You're afraid of the consequences of people judging you for doing it wrong.
Yeah, it's like the judgment. Because like, who's afraid to sing in their house or in their car when they're alone? Nobody, because there's no one around to critique them or anything. But everyone's afraid to do it in public in front of even their best friends sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's like what it is. It's doing things in front of people and worrying about, like, I think
So
that's the number one fear, is what people like, caring what people think. It's like the fear of,
I think I see it now a lot, especially with social media and stuff. Like I
mm-hmm.
feel like that just people are just scared to put their thoughts on social media.
Oh yeah.
They're scared to say their piece, or they're scared to live the life they want to live because they're scared that people will judge them for it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm so fear, I guess, kind of comes from negative experiences that we have with other people, with ourselves, and then that develops into like a deep rooted problem within our mind, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, which then dams our progression of ourselves and our personality and individuality. On a completely side note, though, I was just thinking about what you were saying about your dad. I was like, I think the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that like my parents are just people.
Yeah.
They're literally the same exact that I am, like
Mm-hmm.
the same exact. They live life just like me. They have problems just like me. But as a kid, I think we think, well, I don't think I know because I thought that I was like my parents just got it all together. They're perfect. They know what they want. They're doing what they want. They love it. And then I used to get bitter because they wanted me to do something or whatever, and then I would just kind of escalate from there. But anyway, just on a side note, I was just like, I don't know, like when I first moved to Utah, I like was asking my parents for some advice
Mm-hmm.
on like because I was like, I don't know like anything about insurance. I don't know anything about a job. I don't know what I'm doing, and my parents basically told me, figure it out. And I was like, what the I was mad. I was like, that's so stupid. I was like, I can't believe you just told me. Like I'm asking you for help, and then you just said, figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck? But then I realized I started looking back at their life and the things that they've told me and my upbringing, and I realized that I'm doing things that they never did in their lives. Like my dad, when he was
Mm.
17, he joined the military. And the military gives you a house, the military gives you insurance, the military gives you everything. And so he was in for 26 years, active duty. So for 26 years, he had a house, he had a place, he had a job, he had insurance, everything. And he never did the civilian side. And now here I am on this side trying to figure it out. And then I realized it's not because my dad doesn't care, it's that he doesn't know. So why would I judge him for something that he doesn't know? And then I was like, oh. And then I was fine. And I was like, it just like clicked one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, nice. I was like, I'm just doing things they have never done.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know.
No, yeah.
Kind of a tangent, but
The dude, it's so true, because um it's like tomorrow is what? Tomorrow is the 1st of March.
really,
Yeah, already.
holy crap.
Anyways, tomorrow is March 1st, 2022. It's a day no one's lived before. It's it's unknown territory, and that's for every single person out there. Unless one of you has a time travel machine and you know what it's like, that'd be dope, but literally no one knows what it's going to be like. And I've learned to give, like, my parents and just everyone around me a lot of grace, because I realize that they're all living tomorrow or today for the first time too, and they only know what they know. And I haven't met a parent that doesn't say they messed up somehow with their kids, or like did something that was unhealthy or didn't support them as much as they would want to. And we're all afraid to not be perfect, but we're never gonna be perfect. So there's no sense in wasting energy on trying to be perfect. It's just do. And the people that are gonna judge you, they'll unfollow you. They won't talk to you anymore or whatever. Who cares?
And they'll unfollow you on social media.
Those are the people that you don't even want around anyway. So that's good on them for volunteering to, I don't know, exit your
Yo,
life.
That's so funny. I like how that was like the first thing. They'll unfollow you. I'm like, what the? I don't give a crap. Like, anyway,
Well, dude, I have
that
people
just
follow
cracks
me
me
all
up.
the time. I have people unfollow me all the time, and they're people that I like associate with, and friends with. And I'm like, all right, who gives a
Oh
crap? And at first, I'm like,
man,
oh, that they don't
that is
care.
so funny.
They don't want to be friends with me anymore. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe they just don't vibe with my content, but they still want to be like friends or whatever. Like I don't necessarily need to take it personally, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like the people that aren't cheering you on, you don't need them in your life. Like why
It's
would you
true.
want anyone that's not gonna help you move forward?
Yeah, that's.
You really got a kick out of that.
Yeah, I don't know why it was so funny to
Uh,
me. It's just because I just don't. I'm really bad at social media, so
yeah,
I just never in my brain. It's like, yeah, they suck. They unfollowed me. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like,
yeah. No, I don't
it's
think
funny.
people suck. It's kind of like sad
I
when
think some
someone doesn't
people
want to
do.
support you.
I think some people suck, but
Yeah, you're.
I mean,
Some people do.
so anyway, you said something about like nobody's perfect, and I was just thinking like perfection. Like when we think perfect,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just setting. There's a like perfection is fixed, right? Does that make sense?
Perfection is
It's
fixed.
fixed and like it's a fixed principle or like fixed. Oh, like it doesn't change.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Like
there's a
the
like
flawless. The
right. There's only one way to be perfect, and I think I don't know if that's true, but because like nobody's perfect, but if we're saying someone is perfect, that means there's a bar for it, and so there's someone out there. I mean, you could say Gandhi, you could say Jesus, but like or God, like is perfection, and there's a bar for perfection, and that means everybody would be the same if we were all perfect,
that'd
right?
be boring.
Yeah, we'd be kind of boring. So I was like, there's like beauty in the imperfections of people. Like it's good that everyone's different shapes and sizes and have different views and thoughts and actions and
Yeah.
desires and wants. Like I think there's a lot of beauty in that. And I think I'm realizing that just as I'm getting older and living by myself and like I don't have to be like everybody else to be happy. It's
Yeah.
like if I'm trying to be perfect and I'm trying to be like everybody else or as I think everyone else is acting or who I think are perfect, I'm always going to be chasing that because the reality of it is I'm not them and I never will be them. So why would I think I have to be them to be happy?
Mhm.
And the I just think now that I need to be okay with my skin, with my body, with my life. Not content where I'm at, always seeking to grow and get better, but not setting a certain bar for to chase, but just better myself. And so I can make my imperfections a little more less imperfect than they were yesterday.
It's very inspiring.
Yeah, I
Like
hope so.
seriously,
I don't know
because
where it just came out my mouth,
dude,
bro.
that's super good. Because I think that's something people need to be reminded of every day. Is you don't need to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. Like it's kind of impossible, but it is possible to get better and to get like you can get close to perfect, but I think it takes almost a lifetime to actually achieve that.
Yeah, but what is perfect? Like,
Y-
what's the definition of perfect? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like, what is it?
that's true. Because
And is it the same for you and me?
because like a lot of people say like um, you're perfect being imperfect or something's perfectly imperfect,
Mm-hmm.
which means like it's exactly how it needs to be. Like this life is perfect because it's not perfect. If it was perfect, we wouldn't learn and grow. And to me, that's like the main purpose of life is to learn. And if it was perfect, we wouldn't learn. So it's perfect that it's not perfect because we can learn from the imperfections and the trials and the hard times.
So if we screw perfection, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, I think if everyone stopped worrying about being perfect, everyone would accomplish so much more. Like what would you do if you weren't afraid to be like imperfect? Real
I'd be a
question,
happy
Adam.
boy, man.
What would you do right now if you weren't afraid? Like what
I'd
actions would you take over the next year?
I'd be a happy boy. I don't know. I would. Oh, I even think like I walked into your house today, and what did I say? Or I said, well, one of the first things I said, I was like, man, I'm tired of people's decisions dictating the path of my life.
Yeah.
And I think, and like what I meant by that was like I'm tired of like caring what other people think, and then having their thoughts and like about me dictate what I do from a day to day basis. I hate that
Yeah.
because then I'm just super angry all the time because I know I'm not doing what I want. And I just like, I was driving home yesterday from St. George and I realized I was like, screw what everybody thinks. Like, if you want to go out and do something, go out and do it, man. It's like, try to get people to come with you and to enjoy it with you, but go enjoy it without them if they don't want to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might never have that experience and opportunity to do that again. And so you're just living low because of other people's thoughts. And I thought about it and I was like, man, I'm just going to live life. I was like, I'm just going to go out and do it. And then if people want to come and join me, they can and it will be great. But if not, that's all right because I'll still do it. I'll
Yeah.
just do it alone.
Dude, I think that's powerful. Like when you can do things without other people and you just do it because you want to. And that is a skill worth spending the time to learn, not caring what people think. Because once you stop caring what people think, you'll do exactly what you want to do. Because most people don't care what people. Because like if you're alone, there's no one there to care, right? There's no one there to do anything. So you do whatever the freak you want. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
live every day as if like, I mean, it's super cliche, but it's like the saying, dance like no one's watching, sing like no one's listening. Just like live life like like nobody is watching or caring or talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people, I think, have a busy life and their own problems that they really don't care to like waste too much energy on what you're doing. Like, I mean, they'll notice you, they'll talk to you, they'll see what you're doing, but they're not sitting there for hours on end like, ooh, what do I think about Adam and what he's doing? How weird is that? Let's go gossip about him. Like people aren't doing that. Like just move forward, just do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess if I wasn't afraid, I would I don't know what I would do, but I would just do more things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I think I explained, I answered it, right?
Yeah. Like if you weren't
I wasn't
afraid,
given any specifics, but I'm not going to tell you
would you
what I'm
do
going
more
to do. But
speaking events? Like would you ask more places so you could go speak and start learning how to, be an even better speaker than you already are? Because that's something
yeah,
you want to do.
it is. It is. It's true.
Like if you weren't afraid of what people thought, like you would probably reach out to more people. I don't know. But I'm just talking here. Like I'm just thinking about the things you've told me. But like if I wasn't afraid,
Like squeezing my arm, you want to do this. You're
you
going to
want
do
to do
this.
this. Yeah. Like that's probably what I would do. Like if I wasn't afraid, I would go and talk to go find places. I'd reach out to like everybody, be like, "Hey, can I come do a training on vision boards, on
maybe
how to stop caring what people think, on so many different things?"
maybe I should go do a stand-up comedy bit.
That'd be cool.
That'd be kind of
I feel
funny.
like you could do it. You got the personality
That'd be
for
kind
it.
of funny.
Yeah.
Especially if I did horrible, it would be a great story.
It would. Well, and that's the other thing. I think if people more looked at like worst case scenario, it's usually not that bad.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like anytime I look at that, I'm like, oh yeah, worst case scenario. Everyone forgets about it a week later, or like I stop thinking about it a week later. I might get embarrassed or whatever, but like that builds character, that builds confidence. I think
Yeah.
exposing yourself to the opposite. So just think about it in that way.
So if you weren't afraid, what would you do in this next year?
Ooh. Um,
If you were a 10,
I
because you
was-
said you were an 8.
yeah,
If you were a 10,
if I wasn't
what would you
afraid,
do?
dude, I would probably travel a lot more. I'd reach out to a lot more people and see if there's any way I could like help them out in their lives, help them overcome fears, and to take action on the things they want to do. I feel like I'd just be a lot more proactive in that area. But if I wasn't afraid, man, I would definitely travel a lot more because I feel like the fear of not making enough money to pay for next month or the month after that like holds me back, like kind of like the scarcity mindset, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's something I struggle with right now. It's like being afraid to spend $10. It's like not knowing where the next one's coming from. Like I know where it's coming from.
Right.
I have money coming in, but it's like when you hold on to something, when I hold on to money so tightly that it's not flowing through me, it's like a dam, it's stopping at me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that keeps me small because I'm not actually using it to better my life and to do the things I want to do. So I would like if I wasn't afraid, I'd probably give a lot more too. Give away money, pay for the car behind me, like I'd pay for their meal through the drive-through. I'd do all these little things that just like is generous, because it's like out of fear that I don't do that because it's like shoot, what if I'm never able to buy the next car that I need to get or the house or all these things, and I think there's just a good balance there because if I give away everything I have, then I'll never have anything.
That's true.
So
You need to be a little selfish with what you got sometimes,
yeah.
but be willing to give, I think.
Mm-hmm. Um, so when I first read this thing, I said there were two parts. Do you mind if I read the second one? Because it kind of
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
forgot.
No, yeah, you're
Yeah, we
good.
just started talking about whatever we were talking about.
No, a lot of this has been about like fears, but here is the second part because it kind of goes with that, like not being afraid to fail. But so think about this: we get smarter by every failure and mistake we make, right?
Right.
Which means if you're not doing something that you want to do, or you're not doing something that will move your life forward because of a negative past experience, you're listening to a younger version of yourself, right? Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's like you're taking advice from the past you on
Right.
what to not do or do. Um, so if you're listening to a younger version of yourself, you're literally taking advice from someone with less experience and less results than you have right now. If you're taking advice from someone who knows less than you, it'll take you forever to move forward if you ever do. So why would you let your fears make your decisions? Like, and what I wrote is like, isn't that absurd? I'm not saying don't learn from your mistakes and take those lessons on with you. I'm saying to not let your fear from your younger self um, put in your mind fears to stop you from moving forward. Listen to the wisest version of you that's ever existed, because the version of you that you are right now is better equipped to handle every situation than you ever have before in the past. So there's a very good chance. Let's see. So there's a very good chance you'll have a different outcome moving forward on something you've already done before and are afraid to do. Like if you're afraid to do something,
No, that makes a lot of
does
sense.
it?
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. I think that's totally true. When we're when we're holding ourselves back from doing something we want to do, I think you're right. We're just looking back at ourselves and asking our younger self, "Hey, I'm going to go do this." And then our younger self says, "Oh, but you remember this?"
Right.
And then you're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." Yeah. And then you don't do it.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's totally true. You're in a way you're asking someone with less experience advice about something that they went through that sucked or that was hard, but you know that you have to do it again
Yeah.
and you're looking for help, but then you go and you rely on your fears. I don't know.
Kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know
like,
how to put that into words. I feel like I just kind of jumbled right there, but
yeah,
it's all
no,
right.
that makes sense. But like to put it a lot more simpler. Um, anything you're not doing, any way you think or any like all that put together makes you the wisest version of you right now. If you're not doing it because you're afraid, it's because you're listening to someone who's dumber than you. Why would you ever take advice from someone who's done less than you Because like the old version of you that's afraid, they just remember the failure. But the version of you right now can look back and see that and can take the lesson from it and apply it now to the next time you do that thing.
Right.
So I think it has a lot to do with like trusting yourself, trusting where you're going and what you're doing, and knowing that you're the wisest version of you that's ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
That just came to me during church yesterday. I was just sitting there. I was like, whoa, we're taking advice and living our life based off of a younger version of ourselves that doesn't know as much as we know now.
That's good, I think.
Should write a book on that.
Yeah. Should write letters to our younger selves, telling them to screw off. No,
Kinda, yeah.
I don't know.
Like, still take
Like it.
the lessons with you.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of good like the ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need like an innocent, new, fresh view on something, and that comes from someone with less experience. But
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like looking forward, I don't know. I literally just lost my train of thought.
Dude,
I have no
yeah.
idea what I just said.
Well,
but-
I read that to someone yesterday and they were like, holy crap. Like, and that happened when I wrote it. I was like, like, I just realized, like, I always kind of like knew that, I guess, in the back of my head, but
Mhm.
actually writing it down and putting it down, like something clicked. I was like, why am I not doing things out of fear? I'm literally doing it because of a past experience. I'm listening to a dumber version of myself, a younger one. But and I agree with what you said a lot. Like it's nice to have a fresh pair of eyes because a lot of times,
we get
okay,
we get jaded.
we do, and we get stuck in these patterns and on how things should be, or just this is just how things are and how they work. Like I was told this story about this little girl's parent, how when she would cook the turkey, they would cut off the ends of it. I think it was a turkey. I don't remember. But point is, they cut off the ends and put it in the pan and put it in the oven. She was like, "Why do you cut those ends off? They look just fine." She's like, "Oh, that's just what we do. That's like how you do it." She's like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." And I think she went to like her brother, and her brother who was married and like living out of the house, went over to dinner with them, and they did the same thing. She's like, why do we do that?" And that's just what we do. That's how you cook a turkey. And then she went to her grandma's house, and her grandma didn't do that. And she's like, "Hey, you're supposed to cut off the end of that. Didn't you know that? Like, that's how you're supposed to do it." She's like, "Oh, no, that's just something we did because back in the early days, all of our pans were the same size and actually wouldn't fit a full turkey. So we had to do that to actually get it in so we could cook it." It's like, she's like, "Oh." And so basically, you're like a lot of these habits and the way things are supposed to do is just like maybe there's, I'm kind of losing my
No,
thought here.
I think no, that's a good story. I think what it's saying is like, I think like being able to take a step back
Mm-hmm.
and look at what you're doing in life and look at what you're doing with your job, with your relationship, with whatever, and just take a step back and be willing to be wrong about what you're doing. Like take a step back with unbiased eyes and to look at your situation in an unbiased way, saying that I might be wrong. So let me take a step back and look at what I'm doing. And if I'm wrong, I need to change something. But if I'm not, I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And I think that comes as when, like I said, unbiasedly look at our situation, like being able to take a step back and do that. And sometimes that's all it needs for us to do is to take a step back. So if that, like, if they were willing to question themselves of why they cut the turkey, they're like, why am I still doing, like, why do I do this? And they said, well, that's just because that's how we do it. But if they took a step back and said, why do I do it?
Mm-hmm.
And unbiasedly go, like look at themselves and go, do I need to? Am I wrong? Like it's kind of a silly example because they're not necessarily wrong for cutting up the turkey. It's gonna get cut anyway.
Yeah.
But
But they're just throwing that away.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Not
yeah.
even cooking it. They just cut it off and throw it away because that's what you did.
Oh, well yeah.
I missed that detail, but
But no, okay, that makes more sense.
yeah.
That's good. Does that make sense though?
It does, yeah. And I like what you said. Be willing to be wrong. I think that's when a lot of our pride can get in the way of that actually happening. Because we all want to be right. We all want to be doing things the correct way. But
But
when
just
you're,
because we want to be right doesn't mean that we are right.
yeah, it's like having an open mind. Be open to the fact that you might be doing something completely weird, wrong, toxic, or just yep, all that.
Yeah.
I just covered it.
I don't know. I look back at myself when I was younger, and I'm like, I was kind of a clingy, cut, toxic kind of dude, a little bit,
Yeah, me
you
too.
know. And I'm like, man, I wish I could have. Like, if I met my like 18-year-old self, I would beat the crap out of that guy. Like, I would, yeah, I would destroy him, and just because he was a jerk.
Sure.
And I know, and like it hurts me to think that and to know that I was a bully and I was a jerk and I didn't care about anybody. And I was so fixated on my opinion that my opinions I was regarding as fact. And then I was just having issues everywhere with people.
Yeah.
So, like if I was come face to face with him, I would beat the crap out of that kid. And then I would probably buy him an ice cream or something. But
Yeah.
just to make it better or something. I don't
Right.
know.
That's that's my favorite question is like what would you go back and tell yourself, your younger self to do differently? Like what advice would you give your younger self? Like if I could go back, there's a lot of things I'd tell him, but one would I would like like you'd beat up your younger self, right? I'd freaking slap my younger self for being timid and for letting like people walk all over him.
See, I was the opposite.
Dude, I was just so quiet and just I don't know, kind of easygoing, but like to a fault where I was just like I was letting it I was losing opportunities and not getting as much out of life because I was like, "Oh no, you go first." Or someone would be like, "Can I go?" And be like, "Yeah, go for it." Um and I mean, it's okay to do that if you're doing it because you want to, but not doing it because if you're doing that because you're afraid to actually stand up for yourself and be like, "No, I'm going to choose me. I'm going to go next.
Mhm.
I'm going to take that last piece of cake or whatever it may be." It's like that's okay to do, but do it because like if you're giving it to someone else, do that because you want to be nice, not because you can't be mean. Whoa. Did that make sense right there? Like it's kind of like
I mean, the end. I didn't understand the end. You
more
you
like
want to be nice, can't be mean. It's
it's like
what?
that saying, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Uh huh.
Because if you're a warrior in a garden, it doesn't mean you're. Oh, how do they say it? They're like, if you're a gardener, you can't be strong because you're weak. But if you're a warrior in a garden, like you're so much more calm. Like you can do whatever you want, and it's not really a big deal. Um, like I just keep thinking of how Joe Rogan puts it. Um, you can't be strong if you're weak, and if you're weak, you're always living in a constant fear of what could happen.
Yeah.
Like, do you know who Jocko is?
No.
He's a Navy SEAL who, like, he runs a podcast, and it's very good. And he talks about before he got training on how to basically, before he learned how to make his body a weapon. How he would always get around other people and he'd puff himself up, trying to like, oh, I'm the biggest guy, right? But once he learned, martial arts and how to defend himself and win like every time, he stopped doing that because he didn't have to prove anything to anybody, and he just knew, like, yeah, if someone did do something, I know they're going down because he
Yeah.
has the actual training.
Well,
It's like there's a lot of confidence that comes in
it's
knowing
like
what to do.
I mean, I work at the prison in Utah State Prison, and I see it all the time, man. You walk in and like you walk into a section with 40, 50 inmates just walking around, just living their day, and you'll be right in the middle of them, like just face to face with them, and they'll kind of puff their chests up to you, and they're kind of like, they'll I can't I don't know why I can't think of the word right now, but they'll like they'll posture up on you. There it is.
Yeah.
So they'll posture up on you, and they'll posture up on each other, and it's such a crazy environment in there, and you just walk through and do your business. Like last week, I searched a cell, and we put the guys in the shower, and we locked them in there while we searched their cell, and we found some stuff in their cell, so we took it out and confiscated it, and we go back down there, and they were pissed. Like they started yelling at me, and I was with this other officer. He's a great guy. He's awesome, but he's like 6'5", giant dude.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he's a giant officer, and I'm like 5'11", not 6'5",
Yeah.
And but we put these guys in the shower, and we go back, and we're about to unlock it so they can go in their thing, and they start, "What'd you take from my cell? What'd you do? What'd you take from?" I said, "Well, I took the things that you weren't supposed to have." I was like, "The things you were trying to hide, the things you stuck in your mouth and you were trying to eat to get rid of before I found it. And I told you to spit it out." "I didn't have anything in my—" "Yes, you did." I was like, "Yeah, you did." And he's like, and they were like, and they just wanted to argue. And I found it. So we took it. And then he starts yelling at me. And he's like, he's getting pissed. And I looked at him and I stood my ground. And I said, "If I let you out of the shower, are we going to have a problem?" And he's like, "Ugh." And I said, "If I let you out of the shower, do we have a problem?" And and then he looked at me, and I didn't break my ground or anything. And he looked at me and went, "No, no, I don't."
Nice.
And the guy, the other officer, was like behind me, and he started like tapping my shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, we stop." Like and I was like, but we took him out and we brought him back to their cell, and that was it. And we left the section, and the officer was like, he's like, "I don't know how you did that." He's like, "I thought they were gonna go off in the shower and do something crazy." And I was like, "Well," I was confident, and I said, and I was like, "If they went off, I would have just locked him in the shower. I would have just left." I was like, I knew what I got. I was like, "We can handle them. I'm fine."
Yeah.
And anyway, but I think that's just like just knowing who you are, be confident in your shoes. And that didn't come overnight. You don't get that working in a prison for a week.
Yeah.
It comes over. Been there a year and a half almost, and it just comes over time. But it's being comfortable in your shoes. Don't care what people think. Like if you're scared, do it anyway, and I think you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
So prison's a scary place. I was super scared when I started working there.
Yeah, dude.
Like they asked us in the academy, they said, "Raise your hand if you're scared to walk around like murderers." And I class of 30 people, I was the only one that raised my hand. And I raised my hand up, and everyone was like, "Just one?" And I looked at the whole class and I said, "You liars." But now I can confidently say I'm not.
Yeah.
Like there's still some scary situations I step in, but I think it's from doing them is when you realize you can handle them, and then that like profound confidence comes to you is when you put yourself and have to do hard situations and hard things, scary things. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well put.
Interesting story, but
Yeah. Super interesting. Um, and like if you want a sign that someone's not confident, they're gonna try and like, you know, posture up. They're gonna try and be tough because they're not confident that they are. They see you as a threat, and people will do that in a lot of different ways. Like they'll make fun of you, or they'll talk about, they'll gossip, talk about you.
Gossip.
Because if they were truly confident in who they were, that's not what they'd be talking about. you know? So sometimes people come off as confident, but just watch how they act, things they say, and you'll realize that they're just as scared as you, if you're scared. But kind of going back to that, like, no one's lived today before. Like, no one knows what the crap they're doing.
Yeah.
They know that they've done, and they're hoping everything will go the way they plan. But we're still all figuring it out.
Yeah.
So
I guess we'll leave you with the question. If you weren't afraid, what would you do today?
I love that question.
Do it.
Anytime I ask myself that question, I'm like, I know, like, things just start coming to me, and like, I kind of start to know exactly what I would do. So ask yourself that question every day. All right. Well,
I feel like I learned a lot about you today.
yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's been a good episode of just going at it, just
with no plan.
seeing what happens. Yeah. It's been different. Well, cool. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of Next Success. This is our, I think, 12th one now. Got 400, almost basically 500 listens now.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. So thanks for sharing. We appreciate you guys sharing it. And yeah, if you got value out of this, keep doing that.
Yep. Share it. Go and follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook.
You can watch these on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And
Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Stitcher.
All over. Okay, well, thanks for listening. I almost said thanks for watching. If you're watching, thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. We'll see you later.
See ya.